new normal in American politics, or so it seems. One after the other, in less than 2 months, former President and Republican nominee Donald Trump has been the target of an assassination attempt. The latest bid to take Trump's life was on Sunday afternoon U.S. time while he played golf at his West Palm Beach golf course. Ryan Wesley Ruth, the 58-year-old accused, has been nabbed. Investigators said he was armed with an AK-47, a scope and a GoPro camera and was waiting in the bushes before he was spotted by Secret Service agents who then opened fire. Ryan ran away in a black car, but the vehicle was tracked down and the accused was arrested. The former president released a statement after this incident saying, and I quote, "I'm safe and well. I will never slow down." He in fact reportedly told the New York Times that he was, quote, was disappointed to not have been able to complete the game. And while his Democrat rival Kamala Harris said violence has no place in America, President Biden has assured that he will ensure that the Secret Service has every resource to keep Donald Trump safe. But even as the Secret Service was alert enough to spot the accused, this clearly is a major failure on part of the intel agency. Many questions that are now being asked of the Secret Service and the FBI. For starters, why was Trump's security not tightened after the first assassination bid in July? How did the accused reach as close as 300 yards from Trump, who leaked about the exact time of Trump's presence at the golf course? And will the new Secret Service director now resign? Let me introduce my guests on the broadcast. Vibhuti Jha, former Republican candidate, Spencer Critchley, political analyst and author, and Ray Locker, journalist and author, are joining me. Good evening and namaskar to all of you. I want to say good to have you back, but unfortunately, this is a topic that we shouldn't be discussing again and again, and we've discussed about it earlier as well. And I want to start with you, Ray Locker. When this news came in, the first reaction was, what? Not again. What was the Secret Service doing? And that is a question that perhaps a lot of people, not just in America, but across the world, are asking. Why weren't lessons learned from the first time around?
Well, I think in some cases they were learned. I mean, they did find this guy before he did anything, so he's only being charged with gun possession charges as opposed to actually shooting at the former president. But beyond that, I don't know the answers to those questions. I will say this. We have a lot of people with a lot of automatic weapons in this country. It seems very easy for them to get them, including a guy like Ryan Ruth, who's an absolutely certified wacko with a criminal record. So, there's a lot of things to blame on this, not just the lack security, or apparently lack security.
Vibhuti Jha, you want to come in on this? The fact that Ray says that, Secret Service did spot the guy and they've nabbed him. So, there was some sort of a security achievement, if I can put it that way, on part of the Secret Service here.
I would put it, thank you very much for having, and I totally agree with this thought process that yes, Secret Service did its job and did not allow Ruth to shoot his AK-47. So thankfully, Mr. Trump is safe. Thankfully, he was apprehended. But as you heard just now he will be charged only for possession of gun, not for attempted murder, because we do not know his intent. That is the lawfare that Mr. Trump is victim of. And this is something that people have to appreciate and understand. The Democratic Party has been on a spree, declaring him as a dictator. He's a threat to democracy. When you continuously make that argument against him, it definitely could easily trigger or turbocharge a mind that is not so strong or believes otherwise. So there is the messaging of this particular gentleman, President 45, in a manner that they are doing, it definitely triggers people's mind. And that itself becomes a debate. So I remember very clearly, in his first term, Senator Schumer, my senator from New York, who warned Mr. Trump that be careful about intelligence agencies. They know how to get you 6 ways from Sunday. That's on record. It's not my statement. It's Mr. Schumer's warning to Mr. Trump. And the question then arises, that while he's luckily alive and not hurt and escaped, thanks to Secret Service acting in time, the other element also is very important. The Secret Service has demanded that he be given the same security levels that President Biden enjoys at the moment. This man is not getting it. And if you remember, Democratic Party
Yeah.
and the current administration denied RFK when he sought Secret Service protection as a presidential candidate. He was denied. And he also had appealed that his father was shot dead. So there is something not okay in this entire thing. We in America have somewhere along the line a
Okay.
culture of political assassinations.
Yeah. Spencer Critchley, why has this American election now become an election where we're only talking about political violence? We're not talking so much, and the center stage has not been taken by issues that matter to people. It's been less than 2 months since that first assassination bid happened. Now this is an apparent assassination bid, as the FBI is calling it. But do you think narrative versus narrative is what has led to this kind of a situation that you're seeing in American politics, and a dangerous narrative at that?
Well, as it happens, I'm thinking and writing about this right now, and I would say that at the highest level, I believe this is a breakdown in the shared worldview that's required to have a functioning democracy. Any functioning society has a shared worldview at some level, which means that they may have a great variety of political opinions, religious beliefs, philosophical beliefs, but at bottom, almost everybody in that society shares a basic outlook on reality and on morality. And in the United States, that shared worldview has been a basic commitment to the principles of liberal democracy, including individual freedom and equality, democratic elections, and the rule of law. And for a number of reasons, I think that consensus worldview has been breaking down over the past several decades, at least since the 1990s. And you can trace the roots of the tension, as I describe in my book, really back to the founding of the country. We also see a similar breakdown in a shared consensus about liberal democracy all over the world, as we see the rise of authoritarianism in Europe, in Asia, in South America, and much of it connected to ethnic nationalism, where people reject the idea that they should live in a pluralistic society with all kinds of different people sharing that society, and instead retreat to an ancient view that really their nation is only for one ethnic tribe
Spencer, help
based
me
on
understand this.
identity
While
or
the
religion.
Democrats have always accused Donald Trump and the Republicans of dividing the American society, it is Donald Trump, it is somebody who holds that worldview, as you have been saying, is who is now facing assassination attempts one after the other. So who is intolerant of whose view?
Yes, unfortunately, that there are threats of political violence against President Biden and Vice President Harris and other figures in the Democratic Party, and I'm sure in the Republican Party, very frequently. We don't hear about most of those threats because they're stopped before they appear in the press. You might remember that not too long ago, there was an assassination attempt against the Democratic Speaker of the House, now the former Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, one of the most powerful Democrats in the United States. And the deranged person who wanted to assassinate her went to her home and ended up attacking her 80-plus-year-old husband with a hammer and nearly killing him. That event is frequently joked about by Donald Trump and other leading Republicans. Now, I think that we're not going to get very far if we just trade blame. Unfortunately, at the same time, I think that's part of the objective of the modern-day Republican Party, which is trying to create a mirror world in which it's very difficult to tell what reality is. So on the one hand, you have a party under Trump which celebrates violence, including celebrating the people who stormed the Capitol, leading to deaths of police officers and lifelong injuries to police officers, who promote paranoia about immigrants and ethnic minorities that has led to multiple mass killings inspired by the Great Replacement Theory, as it's called, that they promote routinely. And
Okay.
in this mirror world, somehow it's the Democrats and the Republicans who have joined with the Democrats in trying to defend the basic principles of democracy. Somehow it's they who are responsible for this culture of violence. President Biden on down, Democrats have
Okay.
been pleading with people
Let me
to
get
renounce
Vibhuti Jha to
political
respond to you,
violence.
Spencer. Vibhuti Jha, would you like to respond to what Spencer Critchley is saying, that the Republicans are to be blamed for the kind of situation that they themselves are facing today?
Well, I would respectfully not use the word hilarious, but it is funny of Mr. Spencer to say what he says, to blame Republicans for the violence, but nobody celebrated January 6th. Let's put it this way. And it's on record. It was debunked.
Mr. Trump,
It was
January
debunked.
6th
It
choir
was
sing at the
debunked on the
beginnings of his
media
rallies.
itself
Excuse me,
that
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Trump
this is
had
just not
told
true.
clearly,
This
be
is just
peaceful and
factually
be
false.
not do that.
I'm very
We
sorry.
know that
I'm
very
very sorry.
clearly.
I can't stand by if we're going to just trade statements which are just
If you're
factually
going to
false.
interrupt me,
Okay,
and
Spencer,
then
you've
you
easily,
made
can't
your
hear me.
easily
Spencer
This
Critchley,
is
checkable.
the
you've made
exact
your point.
problem.
Let Vibhuti Jha respond to you.
I apologize for the interruption, but this is factually false and irresponsible.
All right. So, as the saying goes, you talk about the mirror system, and you are probably reflecting that yourself. I may as well add that there are accusations of violence against Trump. There are accusations that Republicans are the violent people, but the ones who are doing it this time are pushing the envelope a little too far. And that's what is happening. It is easy to condemn something, but Mr. Trump also is on record in his speech about Jan 6th. I'm not condemning the violence that happened on Jan 6th or whatever happened, but one element that he said to all the people who were protesting, that be peaceful and be peaceful so that you are not breaking the law. That is rubbed off completely. That's what is important. Even Kamala Harris, in the last debate, she accused him of things about the Charlottesville element. That also has been debunked. So with the help of media, compliant media, the Democratic Party has been running ramrod up the wall with everybody. They are the only telling the gospel truth. Everybody else is a liar. And that is something that needs to be debunked. Fact with fact, truth versus truth. And let's be clear. Biden has not been attacked. Kamala Harris has not been attacked ever. And the guy who did against Pelosi was a nutcase himself, who did it not because he wanted to kill Pelosi, but he was an illegal immigrant here himself. So the phobia that Democrats have a penchant for saying that Republicans are against immigrants, that's rubbish. I am an immigrant. I'm not against immigration, but I live in Long Island. Long Island Expressway, if you dump 1 million cars at the same time, it will become a traffic jam. That's what Mr. Trump is talking about. That's what we are talking about. We have to have a ways and means of regulating the immigration of who is coming and who is not coming. One of the most tragic things about this breakdown of the immigration wall is the very simple fact that there is no money to build the wall, but there are billions to go to Ukraine for funding a war that is an unwinnable war at this point in time. So this is what is important. Everybody is for immigration. This country is 3 times larger than India, has 4 times, 1/4 the population.
Okay.
It will need immigrants. But who do we need? What kind of people we need now in the 21st century? It's no longer the same old story of bring me your poor or the downtrodden. That also is also fine. But at least get some system in place as to who is coming. Just imagine, Democratic Party were ramming down the thought process, oh, you have to have the vaccine, you have to have this mandate. At this point in time, have you ever seen anybody coming who is fact-checked, who is vaccinated, and in what shape they are coming? It is the lawlessness of this illegal immigration that is happening. Calling them new citizens or new entrants is a wordplay. Let's get to the fact. These people are breaking the law and entering the country, and they are illegal.
Let me get Ray Locker to respond to you, Vibhuti Jha. Ray Locker, you want to come in on this? The fact that illegal immigration and the issues, dominating these elections have found their way into the kind of narrative setting that has been happening in this year's election?
I don't know where to start with Mr. Jha's comments other than I find them totally fantastical. I mean, first of all, the guy who attacked Paul Pelosi in the Pelosi family home was not an illegal immigrant. That's just not true. Trump, when presented with a question last week in the debate about January 6th, totally went off on a jag about illegal immigration, didn't address the fact that he stood on the south lawn of the White House on January 6, 2021, in front of a rally of people wearing Trump paraphernalia, told them to go to the Capitol. They went to the Capitol. They attacked the Capitol. They attacked policemen. They sent more than 140 policemen to the hospital with injuries. He blamed it on Nancy Pelosi. Not true. He controlled the military, the National Guard. His Pentagon did. That's been documented time and time again. And so now we're all talking about illegal immigration. I mean, Trump has gone after legal immigrants in the United States, in Springfield, Ohio, who are here legally, who are working productively, accused them of eating people's pets. His own vice presidential nominee said he didn't really care if it was true or not, but he wanted to use these stories to bring attention to other issues. So he acknowledged he's not telling the truth. And now all of a sudden, it's Democrats' fault for pointing out that Trump has said, well, first of all, he's responsible for January 6th. He has said he will be a dictator on day one. And so you point that out, oh, you're inducing people to try to shoot him. We don't know why the first guy in Pennsylvania shot at Trump. We may never know. We don't know why this guy was poking around in the bushes. He obviously was doing it with ill intent, and that shouldn't happen. But we don't know why he was inspired for that. And it's just a way of, Republicans in this case trying to use this to get people to stop saying what Trump is doing when Trump goes out and talks about it himself. And so everybody needs to take a step back and cool off, because it's not helping anybody. And as Spencer said earlier, it's
which
that we
is
don't
what was
have
said
shared
the first time
ideas
around
anymore.
as well, Ray Locker, that everybody needs to take a step back, cool down, and tone down the temperature of this campaigning. Clearly, that hasn't worked now with this apparent assassination bid. But Vibhuti Jha, since we're referring to the presidential debate in this discussion, there are several people who are saying that this might have been a staged assassination attempt by the Republicans and Donald Trump because of the kind of dismal performance that Trump gave during that debate with Kamala Harris, and the numbers and the perception and the narrative all went in favor of Kamala Harris.
Yes, I mean, I had done a show on this entire debate in reality. And yes, Kamala Harris was definitely impressive in the perception battle. But in terms of the policy part, Kamala Harris had only 3 words: future, freedom, and that's it. Everything related to that, and opportunity economy. Without defining any one of those things, America has enough freedoms. Guess who are putting the restrictions on freedom? We know now how Hunter Biden whole laptop case, Meta chief admitted that the administration had forced them to retract the story because it was Russian collusion. Who did that? We also know that Twitter was playing havoc with the messaging and suppressing information at the behest of the Biden-Kamala administration. These are known facts now. Everybody knows, and thanks to Elon Musk, who spent his $46 billion to acquire that and turn Twitter in X into a private space, people are now getting more information from there, which everybody has a right to put whatever is out there. So I find it very facile. Blame game, and I totally agree. Everybody needs to take a cool down and take a step back. It's very critical. Otherwise, we are going to head towards a clash which would not make anybody happy.
Do you therefore think, Vibhuti Jha, that this second apparent assassination bid might help Donald Trump in terms of, the numbers that he has been seeing in the opinion polls ahead of the elections, in giving him that push once again?
again, these are all matters of speculation. And what is indeed true that the idea that he staged it, it was mentioned by a Democrat himself, and I found it ludicrous. Would you run the risk of being shot down? That's the important part. Would you you won't be here. If Trump had not survived the Pennsylvania attack, we won't be talking about this at all. So let's take this matter seriously. In realms of possibilities, who knows who did what? But the odds that Trump stage managed it for sympathy vote, well, there are another 50 days or so to go for election. Anything can happen in 7 days or 7 hours. We are seeing that happen. So there will definitely be a swing towards that.
Okay.
And I know one thing for sure, that Trump has declared, whether he's right or wrong, I'm not knowing that. But he said he will put a stop to Ukraine war. And guess what? This particular guy who made the attempt was telling people that it's a battle between good and evil. And, people must fight for Ukraine war. Justifications aside, it's truly tragic. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Yes, I think it is truly concerning, and we'll have to see, of course, how the American election moves forward and whether this second bid on Donald Trump's life does help Republicans get that push that they want after the presidential debate. But we'll leave it there. Spencer Critchley, Ray Locker, and Vibhuti Jha, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on Mirror Now and sharing your perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you.